Today's podcast is sponsored by fastbitcoins.com. Fastbitcoins.com provides a simple way for people to buy Bitcoin directly from their bank account or with cash in physical stores. Their services are available in the UK, Estonia, and Canada, and they'll soon be available in parts of Asia, Africa, and Australia too. Fast Bitcoins is committed to building high-quality Bitcoin-only services. They want to make sure that the growing number of people interested in buying and benefiting from Bitcoin can do so easily, securely, and with as little hassle as possible. Find out more about their services at fastbitcoins.com, including how you can earn Bitcoin for free using their referral scheme. That's fastbitcoins.com. Go check them out. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world? I would like to welcome you back to the Real Talk with Zuby podcast. Now, on today's episode, we have got on a legendary rapper. He is one of the most underrated artists in the world, as far as I am concerned. Fantastic lyricist, crazy flow, worked with some of the dopest rappers in the game. And this is the one and only R.A. the Rugged Man. Welcome to the show, man.
What's up? I thought you was from England. You just lived there, but you're not from there?
I'm from here, but I grew up in Saudi Arabia, and I went to an American school.
Yeah, because you have no British accent. You talk like an American. You said you was in England. I'm like, oh, he's gonna get on here talking like Lennox Lewis or something. You know, like you're like, hello, I am Zuby.
Yeah, it confuses everybody. It confuses Americans. It confuses British people, just everybody.
You're one of those guys that just don't fit in nowhere here.
Yeah, exactly, man. So, man, I've just done a super brief intro there, but for our listeners who may not be familiar with who you are, let them know a little bit about you.
I'm just a hip hop artist. I've been doing it for decades and decades. Before all your favorite rappers, I was there. Not all of them, I wasn't there before, Kumo D and Rakim, but, I've been there for a long, long time,
And how did you first get into rap? Because I know you've been rapping since childhood, right?
Yeah, I started around 11 years old. I was in Long Island, and all those guys were coming up. Rakim blew up, Eric Sermon in Paris, Smith from EPMD, and Biz Markie. And like, for some reason in the mid to late 80s, it became this hotbed of like all the best rappers on the planet. Prince Paul was in Stetsasonic. It was like all the best rappers in the world. De La Soul was coming out of Amityville trying to do a whole different thing. Like, all the best rappers on the planet were coming out of there. And it was weird. I don't know what it was, Public Enemy, But then, you had the, Rakim was from Long Island. So all of them. And then Big Daddy Kane was from Brooklyn, but coming up in my area, in all the studios, all the greatest rappers on the planet were going to them. So I was a little kid. And I used to go to all the studios and try to meet people and see who was where. And I seen everybody being the biggest rapper on the planet. So I just followed their footsteps. Those were my like mentors and teachers,
That's awesome, man. Were there any particular artists who you sort of modeled yourself after initially or were influenced by?
Oh, the whole Juice Crew. The Juice Crew is Big Daddy Kane and Biz Markie and Kool G Rap and Tragedy and Master Ace and Roxanne Shante and Craig and MC Shan. Like, those are my favorite rappers. Those the whole entire Juice Crew. Yeah. And that's also Biz Markie was out in Long Island, and I was a little kid, and I go to his house. Or go to his brother's Diamond Shell's house and play my demos for them and stuff. I'm like, yo, that's the actual Biz Markie right there on the couch. This is crazy. I'm with Biz Markie right now. I was like 14. So
that's dope, man. And then I mean, you got signed to. How old were you when you got signed to? You got signed fairly early, right?
Well, yeah, I was a teenager. I got like deal after deal. I was getting deals at like 16, 17, but by around 18 years old, I had like every label, like 19 labels. I mean, not 19 labels, 9 labels from Jive to Priority to Def Jam to Warner Brothers to Mercury to every stinking one from that era. There was literally 9 labels, and every single one. Priority. I don't know if I'll repeat myself, but yeah. Oh, Tommy Boy.
Okay.
Every single one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And how did they find out about you? Because we're obviously going back now, so a lot of younger people now, right? Everything's online, right? And so we're talking way, way, way before internet, way before social media, all this. So yeah,
you had to do footwork. You had to just be there, you know? So I was a little young kid. I carried a boom box around. I put my demo tape in it, and I'd go to, you know, I started in all the Long Island studios and battling in Long Island spots. Then I went to the city, battled, and then I'd go up into the Long Island, the New York City studios and have my tape playing, and everybody would be like, who the f- is that? Who the f- is that? And once the rappers gravitated towards you, then the labels would be like, why do all the rappers love this kid? Wow, you know, so then all the meetings started happening, and everybody just was like, damn, this kid like out rhymes so many people, and he's a little kid, a little white kid, you know? So, and this was a different era. Now everybody's a white rapper, you know, but there wasn't really white rappers. There was maybe the Beastie Boys, who wasn't really known for lyrics. And I guess the only one out there that was known for lyrics was like, you know, MC Search type of guys, you know? So that was like the only lyrical group probably, you know?
Gotcha. And then, I mean, it was a while between then and then you actually dropping your first album. So what happened in that meantime?
Well, like you said, it was before the internet. So, you know, I had big, I signed to Jive Records for like a $1.8 million situation. And I was a young, crazy teenage kid. And you know, I got sued and blackballed and banned and everything, you know, I was wilding out. And, you know, so that stopped me for a bit. And, you know, the album I had made, you know, we didn't get to put it out. And then years and years later in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, I started putting out 12-inch records and singles and popping again on my own because I didn't want to deal with the corporations. But then Priority and Capital came to me, and they offered me situations, and I was hustling hard, but there was no internet. So they said, hey, worst thing you do is go back to selling your little vinyls and come to us. So I tried my hand at that again. And I'm just a very outspoken person. So it's like, when you're supposed to do a little bit more politics, I was a little bit more rah, 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 you know, threats. And, you know, I was a little bit more crazier back in them days, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's something that's really interesting because you know, you use the word outspoken, and you most definitely are in your music. I think outside your music, on your social media, everything. And I mean, one thing I find really interesting with a lot of the stuff you talk about and a lot of your music is that, I don't know, so much of that is so relevant now, right? We're in this era of what people call cancel culture, where people feel sort of silenced, like people feel like they can't say anything, they can't voice any opinion, they can't say anything controversial or edgy or goes against the narrative. And it's like, from day one, you've always been able to do that and just not really care about it. So like, what are your thoughts on how things were then up until this weird position we're in now?
Well, it's the same world. You know, they were doing it sorry about the cursing.
That's all right.
Forgot. He's told me not to curse. You bleep that out, right? I apologize. Yeah. I'm not used to not cursing.
Yeah,
I'm
I hear you.
ignorant New York guy. But cancel culture, it always existed. I mean, look at, you know, chasing Frankenstein with the pitchforks, you know, like that. It's based on witch hunts in Salem. It was always the church come and seize your property and kill the woman. You know, it's like, it always existed. Let's cancel them. And if you're on the team of that person, or if you agree with that person, you're the devil, you're Satan, you're one of Satan's people. You know, that's what they did back in the day. And then, you know, same thing happened with record labels where like, oh, if you work with him, we won't work with you with this and that. You know, it's like all cancel culture always existed. But now with the digital world, we have a culture where you can digitally, you know, put it on steroids, and one cancel could turn into 1,000 cancels, and 1,000 cancels turn into 3 million cancels, and boom, boom, boom. And I seen, like, I forgot who it was, but somebody defended Ella, who's the girl that they're canceling right now? Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And somebody like stuck up for her, and everyone, oh, cancel. Like, they're canceling people for sticking up for somebody that's getting canceled. It's like, so you're not even allowed to defend a person who you might think is a decent person, or else they'll go after you and try to dig into some quote that you said years ago to try to cancel you, because it's like a really ugly movement at times, you know. Sometimes somebody should be canceled, you know, that is true, that's the world. But at the same time, when it's like, oh, Ellen DeGeneres thing. I seen the thing yesterday where they said she fat shamed a kid in the 1970s. Like, shut that up. Like,
Yeah.
stop. Like, come
Yeah.
on. Like it's just next level stupidity. And the thing is, you cannot defend somebody being canceled because then you are just as bad as the person that they have in their mind, who might not even be that bad. Some of them are bad, but not every single person canceled is bad,
Yeah.
So, and the other thing is, every single person on the planet has done dirt, has done something bad, has said something stupid, has dressed up a certain way. Everybody did some stupid things in their life. Everybody. It doesn't matter who it is, So, and then everybody want to come and oh, it's time. We're on Twitter today. Let's just tear down the person we're supposed to tear down today. Meanwhile, like, let's go inside your closet. Let's go right inside your closet. You ain't letting us in your closet, But most of the people attacking them aren't enough of a name or a headline to get the cancel machine going, So, the cancel machine got to bring in clicks,
Yeah.
if they're not clicking it, then they don't even care to cancel it half the time.
Yeah, for real. It's a weird thing. It's one of those things I think that's always been part of human collective psychology, and all that's happened is that the technology's advanced, right? So now something can happen in the US, something can happen in New York City, and within minutes, people in the UK, people in Germany, people in Australia, all over, and it are all on this thing and on this person, whereas previously you just wouldn't have known, right? Unless something got into the news headlines or it was something to do with a celebrity or whatever. Now it's just like any Tom, Dick, and Harry, any person who said anything.
Well, here's the thing: is back in the day, if the news media had something against you, or if you were making a movement that the news media didn't like, they could crush you, and everybody would believe that news article.
Yeah.
But that was the threat: is that the people with power to write can crush you, and get the voice out there. Now everybody has a voice, so sometimes you have real voices crushing really terrible people. Beep that out. I'm sorry. But you also get jealousy versus somebody that's doing better than you, or this and that, or, like a lot of times, you might have had a bad friendship with a producer, and then they're telling the world their side of a story that's not even close to it, and they're mentally ill, and then everyone's repeating what somebody said about you that isn't even a reality, but it's getting in forums, and people are saying this is what you like, and you're like, it's not even close to accurate. But that's what happens a lot of times too, But on the flip side too, sometimes when people do terrible things and it gets exposed, that's a plus too. Yeah. But it's just like anything though, this internet. It's like hip hop. You're getting exposed to some of the greatest lyricists that wouldn't have got exposure without the computer, and that without that culture of pressing a button and sharing that word. But on the flip side of that is you also get nonstop false, fake, terrible art, and talentless people getting stages, and boom, boom, boom. So there's two sides of it. Two sides of cancel culture as well, where look, they're going too far. Ellen DeGeneres fat shamed the kid in the 70s.
1970.
Too far, But then you're getting things that a politician might have said or did that the news isn't covering. You could get that online, So there's two sides to it,
Yeah, most definitely, man. I think it's the problem for me is when it's. I think a lot of it depends on intention as well, right? Because people use it in a really vindictive way. It's used as a weapon. And I think it's one thing if you've got a good intention and it's like, okay, this person is this person's a child molester, or this person's committed some horrible crime or something. It's like, that's one thing. But if it's just, oh, this person thinks differently from me, or I just want to harm this person, I just want to ruin this guy's career, I want to harm him psychologically, then that's where I'm just like, nah, that's screwed up, right? And
yeah, but that's what happens too. And then the vindictive people will take the backs of people who are good-hearted, and they'll smear somebody, and then the smear is being used for people who want to do good in society. So they go, oh, run with this smear that I was told. They don't know it's a smear. They just think that this is what they've heard and this is about that person. So, it is what it is, though. The world is just, there's a lot of vindictive movement in in that culture, you know, there's a lot of it. A lot of people who are angry at you go, oh, now I could get you to lose your job. That's true. That does happen in the world, you know?
Yeah.
So,
So,
and
I mean,
especially if you digitally just put any information, like I'll be on the internet and I'll see like, you know, husbands and wives fighting about, you know, like an artist, I don't want to name drop it, but like his wife was on the internet talking about like, oh, he put hands on me, you know, and everyone's like, oh, you
oh,
know,
geez.
he's a terrible person. But then he showed all the footage of the entire night, and it was like her chasing him down the street, calling his daughter stupid and acting like your daughter's stupid. She doesn't know how to multiply. And yeah, and he's like, yo, get away from me and my daughter. Leave us alone. And he was trying to escape the whole night.
Yeah.
And then she went on and like was starting spreading, like, it's like, you know, the whole world don't need to see like little parts of your world and then believe, you know, it's crazy, you know?
Yeah, that's nuts, man. I mean, what are your thoughts on, you touched a little bit on hip hop and rappers now and how the internet has brought to light some of the greatest lyricists, but also a lot of stuff that you don't think, you're not feeling and you don't think is good. So, I mean, hip hop has changed a lot since you started rapping. I mean, hip hop has changed very, very significantly. What are your thoughts on where it is right now? Are you,
Well,
what are
there's
your
all
general
kinds
thoughts?
of hip hop now. There's a pop world of pop music. It doesn't have to be competitive
Mm,
because it's not meant for that. They had that in the era of Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer. They weren't like really dope lyrical guys,
yeah.
but they had their little crossover pop fan base. And I look at, you know, but meanwhile, most people, you know, that listen to hip hop was checking out KRS One and X Clan and Poor Righteous Teachers and you know, Grand Poobah and Brand Nubian, and like they was listening to that when Vanilla Ice and Hammer was on the pop stage, you know.
Mm,
So today you got a lot of really bad celebrity rap, you know. That's a lot of what's going on, celebrity rap, whoever
yeah.
gets the clicks. It's not about the culture, it's about, you know, the kid rats on people, so it's a big headline and then his video drops and gets more views than everybody, but nobody really cares about the music or the song. They're
Mm,
just talking about the popular headline. So that's pop culture. So if you're like, oh, hip hop's dead because you see pop culture and people that don't even know nothing about the culture
mhm.
listening to some BS, that doesn't mean the culture's dead. You got to look into the culture, but you're looking for it on who gets the most hits, who gets the most views, who's talked about the most. That's not what culture ever has been in any culture. That's not culture. You
Yeah.
know, who gets the most views? You know, that's not culture. You know, a painting. You know, most of the greatest artists in history died broke, and then, you know, finally somebody seen a picture and it worked out for them after they were dead a lot of times. You know,
Mm,
so it doesn't. It's not about who's the popular, you know, person in high school. That's what they're trying to make, you know, most pop music,
yeah.
and you know it's whatever's easiest to market to the masses. And hip hop culture isn't for the masses. You know, it's not. You know, that's not what it is. It's
Mm,
for stage shows. It's for rocking. It's for making good music for people who appreciate the craft of hip hop. But, you know, making bubblegum stuff, that's a totally different ball game. So I
yeah.
can't be offended by that or oh my God, you know, it is what it
Yeah.
is, you know.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, it's a funny thing. I mean, because what you said there is interesting because you said hip hop isn't for, it's not for the mainstream and it's not for everything, but at the same time, it's probably, you know, it is one of the most popular genres of music worldwide. It's the most streamed genre of music, and I think what's tricky with hip hop is it's almost like that word in itself, it's morphed to mean so many different things. So if you're talking
Yeah,
about sort of more like purist lyrical hip hop and the, you know, the kind of stuff you create, then that's almost, it's got the same name as a lot of the pop and mainstream stuff and what people are hearing on the radio or whatever. And it's weird because a lot of times, especially someone who's not really into hip hop, but even those who are, if they say the word hip hop, their brain goes to the mainstream stuff and the radio and whatever's popping in the clubs and whatever, and it's not really going to what you could call, I guess, more the essence of traditional hip hop.
yeah, I'm talking about the culture.
Yeah,
The culture, the hip hop culture isn't meant to be, you know, in Disney every second of the day. You know, it's
yeah,
not meant for the Troll movie or, you know, Troll World Tour. You know, that's more Cindy Lauper, girls just want to have fun, you know. So it's a two different universes, you know.
Yeah.
So you can't let that culture, that pop culture affect hip hop culture. It's two different things. If you're a hip hop artist, you know, you do what you do, you know.
Yeah. When you yourself say hip hop culture, what does that mean to you?
Well, competition,
Okay.
emceeing, being great at emceeing, great at
Mm.
songwriting, versatilities and flows, originality, and show stopping. You know, get on the stage and really know how to, you know, MC, call and response, you know, DJing, MCing, you know, it's all part of that culture where it's a competition. It's
Mm.
a blood sport to many, you know. But Cool Mo D was a, you know, he was out for your head. He wanted to take your head off, you know. Big Daddy Kane, you know, those guys wanted to take your head off. Now that's the culture that I came from the beginning of it. Before there was record making, that's what
Mm.
I studied. Like when it was out there, people were taping, you know, live shows, and then the tapes would get made and circulate. You know, they weren't even, nobody cared about even making records in the beginning of hip hop.
Mm.
That was new school. That was like later in the '80s they started. You know, so when you research all of that stuff and you see what the actual, you know. Background of it all is. It's just a little bit different. And the more money that gets pumped into any culture, the more it gets watered down and diluted and watered down and diluted and watered down. That's what happens.
Mm.
So in the '90s, tons of money and so much money kept getting poured into it. So it turned into this and that, you know. But it's the same thing where the argument where Scorsese versus Marvel superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Scorsese said, "Oh, that's not cinema." But yeah, of course it's cinema. But is it cinema? Is it Fellini? Is it Kubrick? Is it the guys Scorsese loves, like, you know, the Godards and Truffaut's and Kurosawa's? No, it's not. It's
Mm.
not anywhere near that artistic level. Marvel comic movies are nowhere near what Scorsese's talking about artistically. But
Mm-hmm.
when he says it's not cinema, it is cinema, you know, the bubblegum stupid same movie over and over with special effects, but it's not, it's two different cultures, you know?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, do you find it, like, honestly, do you find yourself getting frustrated at all? Given, I mean, when I did introduce you, I said that I think you're one of the most underrated rappers out there, period. And I mean that genuinely. I'm not trying to gas you up. So do you sometimes find it frustrating at all when it's like, not just for yourself, but you've got so many artists, rappers, MCs who are like just on a different echelon, right? In terms of talent and ability and actual rapping skills and hip hop MCing skills. And they're so greatly overlooked by, such a large percentage of the population. And then when people are thinking hip hop and rap, their brain is automatically thinking of, you've got some artists who are mainstream who are really dope and really talented. But let's be honest, there's a lot of stuff that's out there which is just like some of it is terrible, right? The lyrics almost are not. I mean, we're at this weird point where people make fun of the fact that some artists are lyrical. It's almost like being lyrical is now something to be laughed at or to be
But
shunned or something like that.
that's the dumb down of
Yeah,
society. You know, they
yeah,
do that with anything. If you don't go with the narrative or the
mm,
sound that is being spoon fed to you, then they have to, you know, diss it. And they do that to everything, though. It's a weird thing about this generation, because when hip hop started, all the great DJs, all the great MCs went to the past and
yeah,
they studied all the greats. And that's what they did. And they
hmm,
dug through the record collections and they learned music. Now it's this weird thing where, like, a lot, not all of them, there's some young cats that like know hip hop in and out, and they
yeah,
study the greats and they check out the past and they check out the future. They check it all out. Uh, but a lot of like people, it's such a fast money making thing for them. So
hmm,
they don't want to learn the craft. They don't want to learn how to do it. I made some quick money. I'm good. It's all about
yeah,
the money, money, money. So, you know, and that's been, you know, kind of shoved down their throat, the Money Mayweather type of vibe, you know, the
hmm,
hip hop community of throwing the dollar bills at the strip club. And, you know, craft is secondary to them, you know,
yeah.
or not even secondary, like 10th or 11th or 12th on the
Yeah,
list.
I was gonna say.
So, you know, that's a fact. So, you know, they got to study, well, they don't got to study. They can do whatever they want in life, but it just is a different era where like now people kind of like look at things that were before them as a threat. Like if they don't know it, it's dumb. That's old head stuff. That's this. It's like, but that's never like, if you look at film history, none of the great filmmakers would ever be like, that's old head stuff. They'd be like, no, those are the films I studied. I watched Citizen Kane. I watched, Hitchcock's Five Best, last week alone, like that's what they do. But it's a new era where it's like, or like musicians study the great guitarist to play the guitar. They don't do that anymore. A lot of cases, but a lot of cases, that's not every case, but a lot of hip hop is dumbed down, simplify, couple different words that could keep a memorable melody in the head and, shoot it out to the world. And it's a new era.
Yeah, it is.
It's not for me. It's not for a lot of people. But to me, I really believe that those kind of records are very trendy. And those aren't the kind of records that, 30, 40 years from now, they'll be doing tours on or people will give anything about, where like, Curtis Blow is still, in Europe rocking, well, not with coronavirus, but before that, all these guys, Public Enemy still doing stadium shows. Ice-T's out there still rocking big, giant festivals, 100,000 people. So I don't think the big pop record in the digital age of Twitter and TikTok that got the most TikTok hits, I don't think those records are going to be worth anything in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. But, great music stays relevant and keeps, stays alive for years and years. When I was a 11, 12-year-old boy and I Ain't No Joke by Rakim, you didn't know, 30 years from now, they're going to be blasting that all over the world still. And, if you play it now, it's still going to rock a club. You didn't know that. But, Rakim's still worldwide. Like his music is worldwide. You go to a hip hop show and they're playing Gangstar records, in Poland, it's
I was actually going to say, I mean, as someone who myself has performed in a few different European countries, and it's interesting. I think that when it comes to the sort of more traditional hip hop or hardcore hip hop or classic hip hop, it seems like on the European continent, they seem to appreciate that more than they do in the U.S. Like I know the U.S. is obviously a big place, so you're going to have pockets where that's still very popular.
You're right. Yeah. But it's not just Europe continent. It's Australia respects it more, Japan, Asian, South America, which I haven't been to, but I know like Cyprus and Sick Jack and them guys, but all over the world.
Yeah.
But America is a very, very, and I say it all the time, there's such following ass trend. This is what's getting a lot of recognition right now. Like they follow trends so ridiculously. They're so small in so many ways that that's the way it goes. The rest of the world will sink in and look at art. Where US, it's about, what's the numbers? What's popular? How many IG views does it have? This or IG hits or followers. It's like, it's just a weird, and I'm not trying to get on that anti-capitalism stuff, but it's like, there's so much programming done in the biggest capitalist nation in the world, like that. This is what you get. This is what you get. We're Americans and we got the biggest and the most popular. And so if something's not as popular there, they think that that's quality. But the rest of the world isn't as brainwashed like that. Obviously, there's also, like, you're in England, there's brainwashed kids that will listen to the most popular album, But like my album dropped and went number 3 on the British charts, when
Congrats.
it came out. Number 3, I think I forgot who I was behind, but it was number 3 in the whole country.
That's dope.
Where United States, we did good on the sales. I think we did 23 or something on the best selling records, but on the pop chart, all of the stuff we didn't. They don't care in America about us, They care about whatever's the popping, coochie pop.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, it's weird for me because, like, I mean, when I was in my teens, that would have been sort of in the early to, I remember like in the, say, the early thousands, especially. I remember that era. And it's really funny because I remember at that time, say when I was like 15 or 16 years old, there were certain artists that my friends liked or who were popular or whatever, who I thought were like kind of whack, right? Because I thought lyrically, I thought they were really subpar. And what's fascinating is if I listen to those artists now, they sound really advanced. Like the artists who I thought were kind of like lyrically poor in the early 2000s, and when I now listen to them, I'm like, whoa, this is like a lot more advanced
Yeah,
than
then what happened? Yeah, it's the dumbing
yeah,
down of the culture. It's
yeah.
the diluting and watering down of the culture and making it so 5-year-old kids could listen to it and 70-year-old, white kids, white lawyers, rich people could listen to it. Like it tries to be like a Disney anthem, even if it's pornographic, if
Yeah.
it's simplified,
Yeah.
it's trying to be a simple, you know, thing for people that don't care about rap will listen to,
Mm.
and that's what it becomes. So yeah, so the 2000s were dumbed down compared to the 1990s, and then a lot of people believe 1990s was the peak, but I think that 80s was even more innovative because that's when it kept reinventing itself. Every year, hip hop kept reinventing itself over and over again. What the 90s was, which was amazing, but it was kind of like the groundwork was put together,
Mhm.
but what Nas did, Rakim already did that, and Coogee Rap already did that. You know what I mean? That groundwork already been done. What the great, with the greatest groups in the 90s, they weren't reinventing. They were just being really great at the craft that was already constructed.
Mm.
When Run DMC came out, it was something brand like, whoa, we never saw this type of energy in the stage rocking, and that started influencing everything. And then a year later, it was this, and then a year later, Rakim with the slow flow and the calm on the mic, and Melly Mel was painting street pictures. It was like the 80s. Every year was like this brand new way to recreate the culture. Where in the 90s, I really believe that it was like they already knew, The one thing you could give to the 90s, though, was I guess groups like from other regions started becoming lyrical. Because in
Mm.
the 80s, the other regions weren't lyrical yet, like Cali didn't have nobody really lyrical.
Yeah.
The South didn't really have nobody really lyrical. Maybe there's one a guy or something, but, in the 80s, the late 80s, they had like Cube was their lyrical guy. But like in the 90s, or late 80s, I'm talking though too
Okay.
now. DOC was a lyrical guy from I think Atlanta. So that was late 80s. That was what 16, 17 years after 15 years rap already been going on. It took them so many years. But then in the 90s, you got like different flows coming out of like an Outcast type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the Source would be like, boo, because they wanted New York. But like, there was different. The 90s, that's the only, but as far as the people that are considered the best of the 90s, like Rakim, I mean not Rakim, Tupac and Big and Nas and Jay, they were all doing things that were already done before them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They really were. But they were doing it in an incredible, like Pac is known for his emotional detail of bringing you into his story and his world and, having his message. So I'm not saying it was done, you understand what I'm trying to say though.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no reinvention. It was just a good way to do something that was done already. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
So
get you.
that's how I feel. And a lot of people might listen to, he don't know what he's talking about. F him. Yeah. But,
Mm.
I'm just breaking it down the way I see it,
Yeah, no, I think in the late '90s and the early thousands, I think early to mid thousands, I think people took sort of templates that had already been created, and I think they mastered them. And I think you also had the commercial peak as well. So that's when more money was coming in, and people were selling huge. Artists were going diamond. People were selling huge amounts of albums, but it wasn't yet at the stage where because I was thinking this. I think one thing that's actually been a big factor, or two, I think number one is the fact that artist development just isn't a thing anymore. Like the artist is supposed to totally develop themselves, and no one is interested in investing in something that's not already at a stage where it kind of doesn't really need it. And then also, I think the fact that people have moved so far away from albums because now you've got streaming and stuff like that. First you had downloading, then you had streaming. So the album as a format became less important, really. And I think that's a big shame. Like, I love listening to albums, and I think now so many artists, like, it makes more sense with things like Spotify and whatever to just put out random singles than
Well,
it
I
does to,
understand.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand that too, because I'm an old school artist, so I worked on putting together this perfect album that all my fans will love, and then I could tour off this perfect album. But the thing is, yes, the music as a whole gets heard less
Yeah.
because if and Chris Webby, the young kid Chris Webby,
Hmm.
I guess he's not young anymore, but I look at him like young, but he's probably in his 30s now. Jesus, I don't know how old he is. Chris Webby,
Sure.
he had said that you release a song that's unreleased, put a video out, put it on Spotify, and it spikes and because that's your new joint, and that's how he said he releases an album. And he'll throw another one unreleased. He releases almost every song off an album before the album even drops.
Yeah.
And then it just gets big spikes and all the Spotify view, everything's huge. And then you drop the album and everyone's kind of disappointed in the album at first, like, hey, that's I heard all of that stuff. Why don't you drop it out? But he said, but then 6 months down the line, they have the album. They forgot that they had all the songs ahead of time, and that's his album. And I understand that. And there's the kid who rocks with Nova, Tom McDonald. You know who he
Oh,
is?
yeah. Tom McDonald's dope. Yeah.
He's he's very controversial. So I know people who think he's the worst, and I think he's terrible. And I see people who really, really, love everything he does. He speaks his own mind. He does what he wants to do. And Nova directs all his videos and comes in with the creative stuff too. So it's like a little team. But like Tom, he'll release a damn song every week with a brand new video. Boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. So when you're knocking them in the head with content, your channels are blowing up, your views are blowing up. Where the old school way of releasing this really, memorable, he's dropping 2 albums this week, I think, flooding the market, but they keep buying and buying and buying and this and that. Where I come from an era where the radio will play No Half Stepping by Kane. Then they'll press up the 12-inch. Then the album will come out and you had it on the tape and you played that one song a million times and memorized every word, and the songs are so special. Now, decades later, if you put the song on, it's still like the most moving, greatest hip hop song I ever heard. And, because I got to live with it and appreciate it and love it. And it's the same thing where the mother of my kids, she thinks that I ruined Christmas because I have my American mentality where I just throw 1 million toys under the Christmas tree. Let them open up 1 million toys. It's Christmas. What are you kidding me? That's the best part. Even more important than the toys is the actual toy is opening the toys. So she's like, yo, the kids, they're opening everything up, not even caring what any of the stuff that they're getting is. You know what I mean? So it's almost, so she wants to give them like 3 or 4 nice things that they'll really cherish and like. And I'm the flamboyant daddy with, look, you got 5 million boxes of toys. It's Christmas, So it's kind of like that's kind of the new school mentality. Like, here's 2 albums. Here's 2 albums today. Here's one record, another video next week, video, and that works. And the way I do it with my kids works too. The kids are having the greatest time of their life, opening 5 million presents. But they're not, like she's right too, is that they might not remember that present or this one might be under the couch. They won't even notice it's missing. Where like if you get them 4 or 5 really cool things or 3 cool things, they'll probably remember that damn toy that they got, in 20 years. My cousin, I was 6, 7 years old. He bought me a Rodin for my birthday. I was in elementary school. He showed up to my school and they called me to the office. I was like, what'd I do? I'm in trouble. And my cousin was there and he said, hey, I bought you a Rodin doll, from Godzilla with the wings.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm in my 40s talking about the damn Rodin doll I got when I was 7, 8 years old, because it was special, So that's like that Ain't No Half Stepping song or You Got to Chill by EPMD, Strictly Business album. It's like those are special to us. We have those songs in our hearts for life because we got to live with them. and study them and memorize them and rock with them and, you know, not be like, well, what are they doing now? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next?
Yeah.
What's next? What's next? No, we don't care what's next. We're listening to this classic right now, you know? So the way they do it isn't the wrong way. The way they do it, smothering the world with content, is a way to make a lot of money and do very well for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just from a different school, you know?
Yeah, most definitely, man. I mean, in terms of your music itself, like it's super diverse and super versatile. I mean, you, not just in terms of like the rapping itself, but in terms of the content. I mean, it ranges from stuff that's, yeah, you know, you've got some tracks which are very, very sort of heartfelt, and then you've got stuff where you're just wilding out, saying all kinds of crazy stuff that's going to offend everybody regardless.
Horrible stuff that we're not allowed to say on your show.
Yeah. So like,
wait, what's your purpose of not cursing on the show? Is this like a religious show or something? I'm not really up on your politics. Did you know that?
Yeah, no, that's okay, man. That's okay. So I don't cuss myself. I don't cuss in my music. I don't cuss outside of it. And with this podcast specifically, I guess that leans on from that, but also like a lot of people, like a lot of young people listen to it and stuff. So I just try to keep it clean.
You're like Ben Shapiro. You hate the kids hearing curse words and stuff.
I'm not a fan of it, man. And you know, like I've got my principles. Like I don't cuss myself. Like I don't put cussing in, like none of my songs, none of my albums have cussing and stuff. So it's kind of like, let me keep that. Let me keep that all the way. Yeah.
Each personality, to each its own. That's what free speech and free, you know, to do the art you want to do. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, freedom to, you know, give the world what you feel is art. You know.
Exactly, man. So I'm like a super pro free speech advocate, and obviously it's not so like I can say horrible stuff. Like I'm like, man, I don't even cuss, but I will defend to the death like people's right to say pretty much whatever, and I'll listen to it, right? I'll listen to it, but I won't necessarily repeat it. But you know, art is art.
That's dope. Yeah. That's how it should be. It's like, I don't like that. That's terrible. But somebody else will like it. You know, it's like, you know, we come from that era of the 80s where I was, you know, a hip hop guy. They were trying to put, you know, ban all the rap music, trying to ban all the records, you know, and you know, gore and horror films. Siskel and Ebert would be on TV. Oh, these movies aren't real movies, you know, and they were the greatest thing in the world to most of us, you know. And you lived in England, who had the worst, you know, banning of horror films. You heard that.
Yeah. They had that list.
Video nasties.
Video nasties. Yeah, that's the one.
Video nasties. They used to, this is banned and this is going to cause kids to kill people. And, you know, and then you had that murder case out there where they tried to blame Chucky. That some kids killed a kid.
Yes.
In England. It was a famous story, and they ended up like raping him and doing some horrible things to this kid.
Yeah.
And they tried to blame it on Chucky on Child's Play.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's a little bit more deeper than that, guys. Than
most certainly. Yeah. No, if music and video games and movies were like the, you know, were the cause of all this stuff, I think the world would look very, very different, given that, you know, Eminem's the highest selling rapper, GTA's the highest selling video game, so on and so forth. Like we'd all be in a lot of trouble if that were the case.
And you know, historically, the world has been violent. And horrible, and you know, and all these governments all over the world murdering people. I don't think that they're listening to Eminem and playing that video game. Like, let's kill everyone now. You know, the biggest murderers on the planet probably ain't listening to Eminem and playing the video game you just said, you know?
Yeah, most definitely, man. What are your thoughts on that, though? Because it's a question I get a lot, especially as like, you know, an artist who tries to put out positive content and doesn't curse. I get asked all the time about, you know, number one, what do I think about some of the messaging in hip hop and rap music and music in general? And two, what if any responsibility do rappers and perhaps other entertainers potentially have? What are your own thoughts on that?
Entertainers do not have any responsibility to protect you. You know, entertainers do not have that responsibility. They're entertaining people. It's entertainment. Quentin Tarantino does not have, you know, he chopped a cop's ear off, or you know, they entertainers, you know, and they go, well, you know, people listen to the music. Yeah, no ish. They did, you know, and back in the 80s, they blamed it on Dungeons and Dragons, and then There was a Satan worshiper in my neighborhood when I was a kid. He was an older kid. He was a few towns over, Ricky Castle. And he told the kid, hey, say you love Satan. And the kid wouldn't say it. So he stabbed the kid to death.
Whoa.
And I think he had a Motley Crue shirt on, or a Def
Geez.
Leppard shirt, or AC/DC. No, he had an AC/DC shirt on. And then the whole news blamed it on heavy metal, made this kid kill, heavy metal. I don't think you're going to listen to AC/DC and be like, let me be a Satan worshiper and stab a kid. It's like, you're going to, that's in you. That's not in the music. That was in you. So, the blaming of art on sick people is so lame and so petty and so stupid. And when people do it, it's like, come on, man, get over yourself. It's like, so yeah, I'm an advocate for say what you want, do what you want, be who you want, say the foulest, horrible stuff, or do a political position that nobody agrees with in your song, or do what you say. Don't curse in the song. I don't feel that. That's the but everybody should be allowed to look at the shirt I got on. Phantasm. I used to watch this 6-7 years old. The girl had nice breasts and she was stabbed the guy in the graveyard and then like chopped this guy's finger off and yellow stuff is squirting out and turns into a bug and is flying around a house and metal balls are flying in people's head and blood's flying out. And I mean, that's, and look, all these years later, I'm wearing the hey, Phantasm, it's like, I didn't go, this movie didn't make me go build a metal ball and spike it into people's heads,
No. Yeah, no, it's an interesting one. Yeah, no, it's an interesting one.
Days of Michelangelo, they were doing it. It was like, they take Michelangelo's beautiful art and paint clothing on it. Like, let me paint a piece of a pant. So like all this great, amazing art is all, well, let's chop the nudity off of the statue. It's been going on since the beginning of time. People who think that they're the superior mind that can tell the world what's good for them, but they can see it because they can censor it. They're strong enough. It's not going to damage their mind, but it's going to damage everyone else's that sees it. It's like just hypocritical and pompous and you're going to sit on your superior chair and tell the world what they're able or allowed to hear or say because it's all dangerous for everybody. It's like, and in the history of cinema, they've been doing that. The history of art, movies, cinema, they've been doing it forever. There's this group of people who believe they're the smart ones that should dictate what the people are allowed to see and what they shouldn't be allowed to see,
And it's always this idea of like sort of saving people from themselves, right? If I don't stop them from seeing this, they're like people are mindless drones. And if they just see this thing or they hear this thing, they're going to automatically go out and repeat it or parrot it or whatever. And it's like, no, if someone is going to do that, that's someone who already is messed up, right? That's someone who already crazy
people. Yeah. Somebody's going to do something insane. It's not because they listen to a Tupac song, you know? It's because they're a crazy person and they're doing crazy things because they're crazy. It has nothing to do with, well, I listened to a rap song and then, but they always did that. Like I said, Tipper Gore, Al Gore was, he was the vice president, but he come from the Ku Klux Klan. He was, his father was the Ku Klux Klan. His family was the Ku Klux Klan. And then his wife was a book burner. She wanted to stop everything from being heard musically. I remember those days of watching that stuff and Tipper Gore, these terrible people,
That was kind of early to mid 90s, wasn't it? When that was the huge censorship. It was the 80s. Okay.
Yeah. It was definitely the 80s. And you know who the saviors of the time was John Denver. You know who he was?
John Denver. The name rings a bell.
Like this old folk singer. He was in the movie Oh God, and he was like the friendly guy. And he sang with the Muppets. He sang love songs, and nice, friendly hippie.
Yeah.
And he was one of the main ones to speak out against. He would never make a record like any of the stuff they were. He would never make a record like an Ice-T or any of the Cop Killer. But he was defending the hell out of people having the right to say it. And Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, he was on that panel fighting for the free rights, and Frank Zappa, and John Denver, rest in peace. Frank Zappa, rest in peace. Dee Snider, out of the three of them, is the only one still living. Yeah.
That's super interesting, man. What was I going to say? There's something, you know what? I was listening to one of your tracks the other day, and there was a lyric in there that actually really hit me, just partly because of the timing. Because I don't want to get too political on this one, but of course, over the past last week and in the past couple of months, right, you had, of course, you got Joe Biden running for president right now. And firstly, we had his, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black comment. And then last week he had his comment about, black people being a monolith and not having diverse thinking, et cetera. And you had a song, I think, on your 2014 album or 2013 album, where you said something about, like, if you want to know a real racist, look at Joe Biden or something. And it just hit me, and I was like, oh, snap. Like
2013. So here's the thing is I've been talking trash about Biden forever because all his policies was racist. Everything that comes out of his mouth is racist and disgusting. Yeah. But now there's the Trump thing. So if you talk bad about Biden, they'll say, oh, that's because you like Trump. I say, no, I don't like Trump. I think Trump is trash. But, it's like they're so blinded because Trump is such a horrible, they want to get rid of him so bad that they'll allow Biden to say every racist thing of all time, and they'll allow him to hide and not even speak because they know when he talks, he's going to say the worst things ever, and he's terrible. And that's when Biden was vice president. That's what they did. Every time they let him out for half a second, he shoved his foot in his mouth. So they said, look, Obama's a great speaker. Whether you agree with his politics or not, he was a great speaker. He was, motivational. He'll sell his fan base. He was great at that. So they said, Biden, just shut up, stay in the back and never talk. Yeah. Like Biden rarely ever talked when Obama was president because they had a real speaker, Obama. I'm not saying he was a truth speaker, but he was a speaker that knew how to spin those Democrat things to the Democrats, and people believed it and ate it up. But the problem now is that the Democrats always, they destroy their own, they destroy anything that's not them. Yeah. So it's like, not their little family. So they pushed up, they always do the same thing they did to Sanders last time, how they was sending out ugly pictures of him to media. He's on the beach, shirtless, unflattering. They conspired to make, Biden, they conspired to make sure Hillary got the thing. And then when the WikiLeaks was leaked and it was real, they really did. They were giving Hillary the questions ahead of time. All of that stuff, they said, it's okay because Trump's terrible. Yeah. So they got away with it that time, but then you figure they'll learn from it. Because we all knew Hillary was going to be Trump. At least I thought so, and most of the world thought so, So they figured, why even, campaign? Just let Trump open his mouth. He says such stupid things, he'll lose. That's what they did. And they also, from those emails, they propped him up. It was him, and was it Herman Cain? Or it was like a couple of the guys. There was three people that they listed, that these are the easy to beat guys that the media should prop up. And they went to the media and helped prop these guys up. And Trump got billions of dollars in free press. And they created this idiot that doesn't belong in office. They created that. So and now it's 2020, and now we're stuck again with Biden, a guy who they won't even let out the house to talk because they know every single time he talks, he's going to say something really ridiculously stupid. Yep. Why couldn't they find a decent human being, somebody who could speak, someone who's strong, somebody who has a real point of view? They didn't want that. Yeah. I was getting ish for it before, but Tulsi Gabbard on the Democrat ticket, I thought she was great. I thought she would have body slammed Biden. I thought she would have body slammed Trump easy. I thought she would have ate them up in debates. Like you let them two talk. You got one intelligent woman and two buffoons, two brain dead old men who could barely form, reasonable thinking sentences. It's like, but that's what America has, Biden and Trump. Yeah, so that's it's fascinating.
It does amaze me.
Joe Jurgensen, they won't let her debate.
Okay, she's the libertarian candidate, right?
But let her speak. But now they want the two-party system forever. And they shame you if you don't agree with that we should have a two-party system, but nobody's ever happy. Yeah. No one's ever happy with the two-party system. No one's ever happy. and they shame you if you say, I'm going to go third party. I'm going to vote for somebody who I actually kind of like, rather than these two horrible choices. And then they go, oh, you threw your vote away to the person that I don't like. Well, you're a piece of garbage, and they'll try to destroy you. They try to destroy everybody that tries to go third party, because they're saying you're the one that's destroying this election. It's like, no, if you know how many people don't vote, every election.
Majority.
Imagine if you get all these young minds, a strong, well-spoken candidate that the public can believe in. Nobody believes in Biden. Well, some people believe in Trump. So that's the sad part. But, you get a strong candidate, though, that's well-spoken, and all these issues in America, they speak on all these issues and find solutions for all these issues, or try to speak of solutions for all these issues. And the young youth gets behind them and says, I'm not with this old wrinkly Biden. I'm not with this racist weirdo Trump. I'm not with these guys. We're going to all get behind this candidate. But the media pushes that and the blue check marks on Twitter pushes, hey, you can't be a third party. But if everybody didn't, if people stopped believing that you couldn't have a third party, we could have a third party and we could get them elected. We have the power to do that. But the big machines will not let the American mental believe it. They won't let the people believe it. And the people won't just get behind somebody, And we just need a powerful person we need somebody. But I don't know. Yeah. America is America. Year after year, it's going to be America. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I a lot of people don't like it when I say this, but sometimes I say I think people end up with the leader they deserve. And, people really, really, really hate it when I say that. But I'm kind of like, well, who creates the system? Who votes? Who runs the media? Like, yeah, sure, these things all have influence. And I understand the system's not perfect. But like you were saying, if all these people are seeing, okay, we want another option, and then they were to just, it's democratic, right? You can vote for another option. Sure, the media may not be with you, and certain people may not be with you.
We have the internet now. We have the internet now. If each person comes up with their own internet campaign, and you got millions of people all over America putting their own campaign. Of course, Google and them are going to try to block it. but if you got millions of them swarming them, and all in the streets, speaking of somebody that could lead the country correctly, somebody stand up and be that person. Somebody out there got to be that person.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of that was the appeal of Trump in itself. And, that's something I do find in whether or not people like him or his policies or whatever, that is something I do find inspiring. The fact that this guy's not a politician, and the media was totally against this guy. Like you said, he wasn't supposed to win, right? Hillary was supposed to be the chosen one. And the fact that he did it, to me, that was like whoa, okay, that's kind of a watershed as far as I'm concerned.
No,
right? That does show someone can.
There is something true in what you're saying. The problem with it is that Trump is a narcissist.
Oh, certainly.
Trump cares more about what people think about him than what he really, than actually doing something, And then he's racist and ignorant half the time. So somebody who, so now they got somebody out of the system supposedly, and it's this buffoon idiot. So now, this is what people think. If you don't go with our system, you're going to get this guy, so you're kind of right that he did beat this system he beat the corrupt Democrat system but they shot themselves in the foot. They, they by conspiring and all of that stuff and lying constantly. And that's the other thing. The Democrats create so many lies that when Trump is lying and the Democrats call him on the lies, no one believes that he's lying in that fan base, because the Democrats always lying about Trump.
Yeah.
So when he's doing horrible things, no, he's Trump. You'll say bad things about him no matter what he does. And then it's like, yeah, but you're just brainwashed. Trump is right. So they get this follow the leader mentality of Trump and ignore everything they say, and they keep doing it. And then they'll hype up that Russia thing for 4 straight years. Russia. So people go like, I'm not listening to you about Russia more. And they're starting again now. Yeah. And now they're doing, Russia again.
Switch to Ukraine for a while.
Russia. and then the other side going, oh, China, 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 Russia, 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 China, China, China. But it's like, yo, like nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
Like you're putting this in the brain of impressionable people. I know what you're doing, but like enlightened people are seeing through. Russia versus China is running America. Stop it. Stop fear mongering. Stop the fear mongering. You know, we went to Vietnam because communism was going to get it. You know, it's what that's our history is fear mongering you into, you know, socialism is going to get you, communism is going to get you, this is going to get you, everybody's going to kill you. You know, that's the world we live in, is fear, fear, fear. And they use that. And the bad Russians, you know, the bad Chinese are killing everybody. Oh, look, we got this China Muslim camp in China. Look what they're doing to Muslims. Like, stop. You don't even care what they're doing to Muslims in your own country. You don't care. So stop acting like you care. You know, it's silliness, man.
Yeah.
There was some other point I was making, and I went into all of that. I forgot what the point was. Yeah, but like Trump, you know, it's like he's so ridiculous. He's like an old white guy that has no concept of reality. Like he'll go all pro police. He'll do them. You know, remember when he was talking about, oh, bang their heads against the police car when you put them in a police car? Like, what are you talking about? But then. When people started, you know, and the George Floyd thing, of course, they'll use any tragedy to fearmonger Americans, no matter what it is, whether it's COVID, whether it's school shooters, whether it's George Floyd, we know that, right? Yeah. But the internet got to see a snuff film. They got to see the world. The whole world got to see them step on this man's neck for 10 minutes. There was no media manipulation. We got to see it. People were sharing it before it hit the media. We were all, whoa, oh my God. We were all horrified by an image. And then Trump goes on the internet and shows a clip of like a black guy beating up a guy in like Walmart or like Sears or something. Like a black guy like beat up like somebody that worked at the store. Just a random white guy.
I don't think
He's
I
like,
saw
well,
this.
why isn't this all over the media? It's like,
okay. But this one was a little bit later, right?
Like, why would that be all over the media? It happens every day. Somebody gets beat up in a freaking store. What are you, an idiot? But he made it like this. Oh, I guess it's the white guy. He didn't say that, but like it was like a white guy getting beat up by a black guy. So, and he posts that on his damn Twitter. Like that's any kind of argument or any kind of real point you're making. Like it's not a police officer. It's not the person that we're paying taxes to protect us killing some guy in a freaking store. It's just a random crazy person that happens to be black beating up a guy in a store. You know, a guy that worked in the store. This should be all over the news. No, it shouldn't. What kind of news? Guy gets beat up in a store. That's a headline-worthy news. You know, but you see that in this age of the George Floyd thing where, like, you see all these racist people on the internet posting black people doing terrible things. It's like that's the thing that they do. It's like, look, these, and it gives them, it makes these racist people have the power in their mind, the power to be allowed to say terrible things about blacks. So, look, this black guy threw a brick to a window or something, or beat up a store owner or something. And it goes, these animals, these savages. We know you're talking about black people. You're not talking about somebody that did it. Because where's the clips of the white boys doing it? Or it doesn't happen because you're racist and you want to post that information. And I know the left does it too, where they'll turn everything racist when it's not racist. I know that happens too. So then people go, "Oh, you're calling me racist to win an argument," but it's true sometimes.
It's all reactionary. This is the thing, it's like
manipulation.
Because the thing is, no, it's all right, man. I mean, the thing is with the internet is you can find whatever your perceived narrative or view is, and however you view the world, you can easily cherry pick examples. America's a big country, got 330 million people there, billions of human interactions. If whatever narrative you're trying to show, whether you want to show that women are violent towards men, or men are violent towards women, or white people are violent against black people, or black people are violent, you can find clips, you can find videos, you can find photos, and you can just fill your social media feed with those examples, and it will paint a picture like, whoa, what's going on here? Like this is, and everybody, like activists on both sides do it, right? It's not hard for a BLM supporter to find individual clips of a policeman roughing up a black guy, or find, little clips of bad things happening to black people, especially over the course of the last, 15 years or whatever. That's not hard to do.
But
okay, go ahead.
That's another thing when they try to pretend like, oh, this isn't a real epidemic of black violence by the police in the community. You know, they act like that isn't a real issue. And like a Candace Owens type says that, or people say, oh, this isn't, and then white people take Candace, oh, see, it's not a real issue. George Floyd was a terrible man. But the thing is, historically, police brutality did exist in the black community, and you're not hearing about these stories, but they're true. Like my friend Hostile, who died, lost his eye to cops. But not just him. Historically, it's been a known fact. And if you watch any comedian from every era, they go, yeah, they kill us, they kill us, they kill it. Like it's documented by so many. Watch any movie, Fort Apache, the Bronx, they're throwing the black guy off the throwing the guy off the building. Do the Right Thing. You know, they say George Floyd and oh my God, Eric, the dude that they choked out for the cigarette, the famous case.
Eric Garner.
Yeah, Garner. You know, Radio Raheem and Do the Right Thing. The cop choke him out and he's dead. And they've been doing that. But the thing is, now there's video cameras and now there's internet. They've been doing that in the black community.
Sure.
And what's his name? Diallo?
Amadou Diallo. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's the one. Diallo's the one they shot up, right?
Diallo's the one who got shot like 41 times.
Okay, now
that
who's
was like
my man?
A long time ago.
Abner Louima in New York City. They raped him. They put the broomstick up his butt.
Yeah.
They violated him. They touched his penis.
Yeah.
They raped this black man in the precinct. Like this is all real stuff that's been going on in the black community that they act like, oh, it's just a couple clips.
Yeah. Do you know the problem? The problem is that is the anecdotes versus statistics. Because the fact is that, police do kill more non-black people than they kill more white people than they kill black people, but nobody.
Yeah, but look at the.
I know. Yes, I'm aware of that. But the problem is, people can list all of these names for black people, but how many white people killed by police in the past decade can people name, right? And in many cases, the answer is zero, despite the fact more of them have been killed. So that's why you get that reactionary thing. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, but you could use statistics like that and say, oh, look, there's more. Because it's a white dominated society in America.
Sure.
There's whites everywhere. So of course, okay, maybe died, but it's also the type of way that black folks have been treated year after year after year. And how many stories are told? How many stories are actually told? And when you go into, if you go into a white community, are they taking the men and raping them in the butt with broomsticks, or are they treating them like dogs, or like throwing them on? It's not the same level. Like if you've lived in a black community, you see it every day. You see it. You actually see it. When you lived in a white community, you don't see it, and that's truthful. And they walk through your community and they treat you like you're a crook. They treat you like you're a criminal. That's all real. So when they go, well, white people were killed too, that's a deflection of reality, though, because the oppressed have been oppressed for this many years. They haven't been treated like humans. That's a fact. And the cops go into the community with the God complex and, oh, we're better than you. And black cops do it too. Sometimes that's another thing that the white people do, where they'll go, oh, it must not have been racist because a black guy did it. But he's in a system, a black cop did it. No, but he's in a system where they all say, hey, these are the thugs. These are the thugs. This is thugs here. And I mean,
I don't know, man. I might be closer to Candace on this one. That's
how?
I don't agree with when it came to the George Floyd situation. I mean, I made a video about that as soon as the thing came out. And I'm not a fan of, like, I get both sides, and I'm certainly not a fan of this thing of, like, sort of digging up dirt from a man's past, as they're doing with George Floyd, to somehow
it's
sort
the grossest
of
thing in the world. And
they're
calling him every name on the planet. Oh, he's a meth head, horrible person.
No.
He put a gun to a pregnant woman's head, which they don't even know if that's even true. That's made up. That's not documented.
The point is to me. Yeah, the point is to me.
Look, documentation that they put a gun to a pregnant woman's head. That's not real. They didn't. They're just making it up, and they're going with the narrative because they want to believe that this is a horrible person, because they want to bootleg and defend police.
Yeah, no, because to me that's irrelevant, and there's no all that stuff, whether it's true or not. when it comes to his actual killing, it has nothing to do with it, right? Like he could have. To me, it doesn't matter.
If he
Right?
just shot up the freaking bank
You still
and
don't do that.
killed 5 people,
Yeah.
they had him restrained.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
He was
I
no
agree with you.
threat.
Yeah, I
You
totally agree with
put
you
him
on
in
that.
the car, you leave him there, boom,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
put him in
I
jail.
totally agree, and
And
that's
people be like, "Bro, he was talking crazy."
yeah.
So you
No.
kill him?
To me, like on the George Floyd situation, like my position's very clear, and I think it's a shame because I think, for a very short period of time, I think everybody was actually on the same page, which is pretty rare because even when it comes to these police killings, a lot of them are a lot more contentious and you don't get the full clip, right? You might see the video of like, boom, someone gets shot and you can't really see what happened or whatever. But in this situation, you got like a 10-minute video. You can watch it in real
You
time.
watch a
You can see
snuff
what happened.
movie of,
Yeah.
of an arrogant, he did it confidently, knowing the camera was
No.
on him.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
hey, I ain't doing nothing wrong even.
Yeah.
Get back.
And yeah.
I'm the God.
Yeah. What I'm saying is though, I think it's a big shame how much, from that temporary moment of actual unity and agreement on that thing, whether or not people thought it was driven by racism or just bad policing or whatever, virtually everybody agreed this is extremely egregious. This should not have happened. And no one was saying this was great policing at that time.
But
Okay.
I saw them try to turn it around, right? They knew they had to say it on social media because, they didn't want to say it. They would say, "Oh, this is terrible. They shouldn't have did it," And then then all of a sudden you see cops on their pages putting pictures of like his family when his family got, a Kickstarter that got $10 million or $5 million. I don't remember how much.
Okay.
Oh, the ghetto lottery they won. Oh, look at this. And then they start slowly bad mouthing them. Go, oh, he was just a meth head. Oh, he was talking. And then all of a sudden, everybody that was in unity, they all turned on George and turned him into the worst person that ever lived, that puts guns to babies, pregnant women, which that's not documented. Google it. It's not documented. Where you find the documentation that he but they keep repeating this image. And I had a cop on the internet put a picture of this woman with her face all beaten up and destroyed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at the picture and it said, "Oh, George Floyd did this to her. She was pregnant. He put a gun to her belly." They put that on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo. And I looked it up and it said, no, that's not even the woman. This is some woman that was beat up in Ecuador. And they're putting up this propaganda that George Floyd is this like that destroyed this woman's face and put guns to her. It's disgusting and it's racist. And that's where, and then when the police department speaks up and says, they're treating us like animals, and they have no remorse. It's like, and it's so ready to defend themselves rather than, hey, listen, this has been going on. We're going to try. They have no sympathy. It's all ego. Their egos and their emotion. Their egos and emotional. And if you're a police officer supposed to be protecting the people, how are you going to live off of ego and emotion and say the wrong thing to me and I'll choke you? It's like that's not the way the world should be, man. That's not something that anybody should accept. And I don't understand what you could see in the Candace Owens speaking on police brutality where you can agree with her in any way. I don't understand.
That's interesting. No, I like I said, I don't think I disagreed with when she started going into the, demonizing George Floyd and talking about his previous, like, to me, that stuff's not, like I said, to me, that's not relevant. Like, that doesn't change my opinion on him getting killed when he shouldn't have been killed. And I don't think it's good to sort of distract people from the main thing.
It was the biggest distraction. And then all these racist white people would post it and be like, he was a piece of garbage. See, the cops are great. He was like, you're justifying
No, to me,
look, an American citizen.
Yeah, no, like I'm very principled on these things. And look, I don't use the word racist too often because, like, unless I've got evidence of that, for, even George Floyd's killing, for example, right? People jumped immediately to this is a racist thing. It's like, look, they've done the exact same thing to, a white guy called Tony Timpa just a couple of years ago. So I've seen this happen to people of different races.
What's the Tony Timpa case about?
The Tony Timpa case.
Yeah,
he was also choked out, and they were laughing at the time and stuff. And then, I mean, the worst police. So I need to go into detail.
How long was the clip? How long did they do it for?
Wow, I don't know that off the top of my head.
And I'm
I
not
don't know
saying it
that off
makes
the top
it
of my
any
head. Yeah.
more or less bad, but
Yeah.
the thing that infuriated everybody about the not just the murder, it was the murder,
Yeah.
obviously,
How long it
but it
went on
wasn't
for?
just the murder. It was that like you can treat a human being
Yeah.
like worse than a dog, worse
Yeah.
than any animal,
Yeah.
and do it confidently and the arrogance on his face and just stepping on this man's neck, and he's lifeless, and people going, yo, he's dead.
I'm
They're
with you, man.
killing him. He's
I'm with you.
dead. He's dead. Like I'm not saying that, police brutality happens.
Mm-hmm.
They're police. There's these men with big egos and God complexes and go around and you say the wrong thing. Like I was in a train station trying to get a train to get with my kids were with a babysitter, and I was sitting down in Penn Station, and the guy was like, said something to me, and I was like, yo, it's all good. And he started talking trash to me. He ended up handcuffing me and put me in a jail cell in the damn in the prison because of his ego.
Yeah, man.
But I'm not going to equate that to the everyday occurrence in a poverty-stricken Black community that, they're treated like lesser of people by the police. I mean, it's not like it's not documented or witnessed by thousands of thousands for decade after decade after decade.
I get you, man. I get you, man. Like I understand both sides of it. I'm very much.
I mean, there's more proof of police brutality in the Black community than there in 2020. There's more proof historically of police brutality in the Black community than there's proof of Jesus. Like if you're only going off what the people say that he existed. And I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm a fan of Jesus. I'm a fan of his beliefs. But if somebody says, why do you believe Jesus exists? I have to go, well, people said, and people said, and people saw, and people said, and people saw. Mm-hmm. So, as far as police brutality in the Black community,
do you know the issue, right? Is by limiting it to the Black community is, I think that's part of the problem, right? So when people specifically act as if, it's a big problem with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, right? Is that if people are on the narrative that this exclusively happens to Black people, then it makes it a lot harder for people to unite around it because it's not factually correct. And by saying that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen
in the Black community.
It doesn't.
Yeah, but people are talking like it's exclusive, right? And that's a big problem. A lot of people are, man. A lot of people.
No. I didn't say that people didn't say it. I'm saying that if they're saying it's exclusively in the Black community, that's not a truth.
Yeah.
But it does go on at a higher level. It does happen every day. Black folks are mistreated by the police far more often than white people. I mean, that is, it's not exclusive, but the mentality of a policeman in an American Black community is a little bit more, they treat you a little bit more degrading than in white, at the white mall or the white 7-Eleven.
I get you, man. I think the problem is, like, I don't think this is a difficult issue for people, of different viewpoints to actually unite on, but I think the conversation needs to go up a level, because I think, we're kind of doing it now. I think people get lost in the weeds because the vast majority of Americans agree that police brutality is wrong and the police should not ever kill an innocent civilian unnecessarily. Everyone agrees on that. Doesn't matter you left, right,
I don't
whatever.
even know if that's true at this point with social media. I don't even know.
Let's say well over 90% of people believe that.
I don't even know if that's true.
Really?
Because when I check, let me tell you, the kids, some of the kids that I grew up with, criminals, hated cops their whole life. They're boom, boom, robbing houses, criminals, white boys, right? Mm-hmm. And then they're in their 40s and Black Lives Matter happens and hey, stop, killing Black folks. And all of a sudden, everybody's pro-cop. Cops are doing the right thing. Look at these thugs breaking windows. Cops. And it's like, wait. And there's all these excuses for every murder of a Black person that happens. Oh, that guy didn't have his hands up the right way. Oh, that guy robbed a store 2 hours before the cop killed him, so he deserved it. And he was a criminal. And you see memes where, like, Mike Brown, they'll be like, on his 1-year anniversary of his death, it was like, 1 year since he didn't rob a store. A policeman put that on his Facebook on his 1-year death. and people thumbsing up like, yeah, these scums. Like I think you're taking for granted that people are good in this society,
I don't
that
know,
so
man.
many people are good.
Yeah, I mean, I know that exists. Look, on the internet, you'll find people saying disgusting stuff about literally everything. I guess my point is that, like, I know this exists, right? I'm saying it's a minority. It's a very small minority, which can still mean thousands of people. Can still mean thousands.
Hundreds of
It could even
thousands.
mean it could even
Hundreds of
mean
thousands.
if you could have 2 million
Well,
people,
more
right?
than hundreds of
It
thousands.
could be
How
it
many
could be
people?
it could be millions, but
It
those
is.
millions can still be a very small minority given the size of the U.S.
How many people thumbs up the Candace Owens video when she made George Floyd into the worst human being that ever lived? What was it? Millions of people sharing it, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. It's in the millions there. On that alone, on the one clip alone,
Hmm.
millions. Oh yeah, thumbs up. He was a piece of garbage. He's a piece of trash. Terrible person. Garbage. For a man that was murdered, an American citizen that was murdered by the people who are supposed to protect us. And let me tell you something. Another thing is sometimes it isn't like a racist KKK cop, that, hey, I'm going to go just kill this N-word.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's not that. But what it is they have this fear of a black criminal in their mind. So a regular ass black person can walk somewhere and, oh, he probably has a gun. Oh, there's this mentality in their mind where they believe that that's the criminal. The
Hmm.
black man is my threat. He's going to make it where I can't go home. He's the threat. And if you're that emotional and scared to be
Hmm.
in the streets, like maybe you shouldn't be a police officer.
Agreed.
He's going to
Agreed.
kill me. He's going to hurt me. That black guy is going to hurt me.
Yeah.
Because that does exist. And that is
Yeah.
a big problem
Agreed.
too. Oh, restrain him before he hurts me.
Yeah. No.
I got to go home to my
Yeah.
kids.
You're literally touching on what I was going to say is the second thing that I think the vast majority of people agree on. Right. I think most people agree on. Yeah. Most people agree. Look, racism is bad, and most people agree that the cops should. I don't see many people who are opposed to, people have different ideas of how to do this, but getting rid, having higher standards for police, having better training, having, getting rid of people who have PTSD or who have like massive psychological issues. Those should not be police officers. And I think, again, most people agree on this in terms of how to do it, whether it's getting rid of qualified immunity or it's, breaking up the unions or doing this or doing that. I don't know all the policy ideas, but I guess my point is when I'm seeing people kind of bickering over, do we say Black Lives Matter or do we say all lives matter? Do we say this or do we say that? And, is it this? And I'm kind of like, you guys are actually agreeing on the core point. But
Sometimes.
I think for the most part, look, you're never going to get total agreement on it, on
Yeah, because
anything.
a lot of the times they'll use the "All Lives Matter" slogan as a deflection of the situation. That would be like,
Some
"Oh,
people do.
all lives
Yeah.
matter because I'm white."
Some,
Like it's like,
but
yeah,
look,
we
I,
know
I
your
know, I
effing
know,
life matters.
I know a lot of black people who prefer the all lives slogan to the Black Lives Matter slogan.
I don't
So
know
that's
too many.
okay. Well, I'm just saying that's a real thing. Okay. I think all lives
Yeah.
matter is a better, I don't go around and hashtag it, but
What
if
does
I
all
were,
lives matter mean to you? Like, why does that need to be said?
because I don't think that society properly recognizes that. I would even prefer all Black Lives Matter to Black Lives Matter because Black Lives Matter exclusively focuses on,
On Black lives?
no, but it doesn't. It focuses on black lives killed by white police officers in very specific and rare circumstances. If the movement was we want to stop black people from dying and from getting killed, we've got a whole bunch of other conversations that we need to be having. And if they were having those conversations, I'd be much more on board with that movement and that sentiment. But because they're totally ignoring them, I mean, more people have died in the BLM protests than died in the George Floyd incident by multiple factors, but no one wants to talk about that.
Yeah,
You
but
see?
part of a revolution. I'm not saying the Black Lives Matter thing, but part of a revolution is people do, if you're going to take, the fall of the Roman Empire, not everybody's going to survive. And I'm not saying, oh, go kill
Yeah, well,
people.
to me, that's where I can't get on board at all. Like if
Yeah.
I'm saying, look, I care about black lives, I don't want black people to die, I don't want anybody to die, and then I see, okay, one person dies, and then 20 more people have died as a result of this. Well, I'm like, no, like I do maths, right? I'm like, no, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work
Yeah,
for
but
me.
you're talking about fighting a machine of systemic racism. I know that's a cliche to you guys, but
It is a cliche. Yeah. Well, what does that
you know,
mean? You know what I mean? Like that doesn't mean anything to
well,
me, man.
because there's a system that has been in place for decades and decades and decades and decades, and nobody does nothing about it. So now the people are standing up and they're trying to fight. And I
Yeah.
know that the Black Lives Matter group has been infiltrated, and people that aren't for the right cause, are coming to the things, and Black Lives Matter as a, they say the Soros funded
Mm.
thing, and you're brainwashed if you follow that. But I think a lot of people don't care about Soros or any of that. They care about, hey, listen, I'm a Black person. I think that my life matters,
Hmm.
and I need to say it because some people don't think my life matters. And I don't think that's a wrong slogan for a Black kid or a Black person to say, hey, look, Black lives matter. I'm Black. My life matters. Because
Yeah.
for decades of being treated like a lesser man, a lesser person, not being
Mm.
given the same opportunities.
But who's
Um,
look? Let's be 100% real. If we're looking at the USA, who is it that's killing black people?
oh yeah, I know that, but that's a deflection because
No,
that's
but
not about.
how is it a deflection?
Because
If
white
the
on white,
slogan
who's
is
killing white people? White
no,
on white
yeah,
crime exists
it
too. If,
is.
if black people live in this,
But
if
white lives
black people
matter.
live in the same community
Yes,
together,
yes,
they're going to kill each other.
of course.
Just like white people live in the same community, white people kill each
But
other.
white lives matter is not a slogan. White lives matter is not a movement. White lives matter is not a whole thing. And if it were, I would be
Because the
saying
system isn't holding back white lives or treating them like the lesser of people. The system doesn't do that. White
yeah,
lives it shouldn't be a slogan.
yeah.
Black
See,
lives matter should be a slogan. See,
see,
this is the
we're
thing. That's the
yeah. Go
same
ahead. Go ahead.
argument they say with black power to white power. They go, why can't I say white power, but they can say black power? Because the black power movement came out of oppression, where the oppressed people had to say power to my people because you took it away from me. So black power. So
Mm.
white power is a part of white supremacy, where they say we are the superior, we don't need equal, we are the supreme and we dominate. So black power is, hey, listen, we are the, so that's the same argument. Well, why can we say white lives matter, black lives matter, white power, black power? Because when something is oppressed, you're allowed to fight against your oppressors and uplift your own people. Black power is upliftment. White power is the tearing down of other people, and is part of racism and the Nazis and Ku Klux Klan. That all is white power. Black power is, look, I'm proud of who the hell I am. I'm a black person. That's what black power is. I don't want to feel inferior. I don't want blonde hair because my whole childhood, a little black girl wanted blonde hair. She got the little blonde doll. She saw Marilyn Monroe on the TV, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, they always, white was always the superior being in their presence in American culture.
Mm.
So then they say, no, we empower ourselves. It's a power movement, black power. There's not, white power and black power is not the same thing. Just like white lives matter and black lives matter is not the same thing.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have to do a part two of this because we're definitely strongly disagreeing on this one. But yeah, man, I've
But you
got to.
think white power and black power are the same?
I wouldn't put it that simply, but I think if someone can say, I think people look, if people are going to bring, I'm not a fan of, look, I'm very much an equalist. I'm very much an equalist. Okay. I'm not someone who plays the dynamic of oppression, perceived victimhood. It's okay this way. It's not okay that way, etc. So if my view is, look, if you can say Black Lives Matter, if someone can say Black Lives Matter, someone can say White Lives Matter, someone can say Asian Lives Matter, someone can say All Lives Matter,
I think they can.
etc. Same with
I
the
think they can
Black
say,
Power, White Power, etc. Like I'd rather we just don't play those games. Like I'd rather not get into the Black Power thing, White Power thing, etc. I think all of that is just like that's my personal view on it,
they
man.
could say whatever they want, but then I wish they would say what they want because then they get exposed.
Yeah.
If you want to run around and say white people, white power, you're exposed. So let them say it. Let everyone say whatever the hell
Yeah,
they
man.
want.
Absolutely.
I'm for free speech. Let the Nazis speak so we know who
Yeah.
the Nazis are. Don't let them wear a fake mask and be like, I like everybody. Let them be like, I'm a Nazi. Let us know. So
Yeah.
let everybody speak. Let everybody show their true colors. But all right, man. Yeah, we can do a part two.
Yeah, man. No, it's been I've enjoyed the conversation. I have another interview to do. So,
All right.
but yo, you've got your latest album out now. All My Heroes Are Dead. Where can people check that out?
It's everywhere. Just Google
Yeah.
All My Heroes Are Dead, R. Rated Rugged Man. we got some videos out. All Systems Go video just dropped, and we got another video with Immortal Technique dropping soon.
Oh, sick.
And working on some more videos. We're trying to get one shot for me and Inspector Deck, Wu-Tang, and but go just Google All My Heroes Are Dead. It's on every platform, Spotify. I think YouTube blocked a couple of the songs. I think
Oh, for real?
Speech, a song called Hate Speech or something. I think they blocked that. But or they did it on the album version. I don't know. There's something that everybody was complaining about, but
Okay.
I Google it. It's on my channel, but I think if you get the album as a whole on YouTube Music or whatever, they don't play that song for them, and it's not included in it. I don't know, some weird thing. But all right, man, nice talking to you. They're gonna have fun with this one.
Yeah, most definitely. It's gonna generate some good conversation, man.
Talk
Take
to you
care.
soon.